Okay, let's get to it. Good afternoon or good morning, or depending on where you're at in the world, it could be evening or overnight in some cases. We have people on from all over the world, and we appreciate you taking time out of your day to come and find out some of the things that we have to share with you today. I'm Tracy Johnson, the Tracy Johnson Media Group, along with Ron Harrell from Harrell Media Group and Andrew Johnson from Radio Content Pro. And today we're going to show you some ways that you can engage, inspire, and grow your audience. It's a presentation that is specifically designed for Christian radio stations. Now, there's takeaways that you'll get for every station. And there are principles that you can apply no matter what you do. But we've chosen Christian radio for this because there's so much passion behind the brand. The audiences are connected to the personalities. They're connected to the brands. And there are some things that you can do in that format that will engage the audience deeper, to make them more interested in what you're offering, to inspire them to take action, to be more active with and interactive with your content, and how you can grow your brand and grow your ministry to reach out beyond your current audience and recruit new listeners to come in. I'm going to show you 3 specific ideas on how you can leverage the power of AI to build those connections and attract new listeners. As we get started here, I'm going to ask Ron and Andrew to introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about what they do. Ron, go first.
Hey guys, Ron Harrell. As Tracy said, I run Harrell Media Group. I, like a lot of you, spent a tremendous amount of my career doing what you do, programming on air. I came from the mainstream and the secular side. And then a few years ago, I moved over into the contemporary Christian world. And when I finished that project, I started consulting in late 23. And so I work as a brand consultant, a talent coach, and more recently as a fractional manager, where I make my services available to your company as it's bridging leadership gaps. And just really excited and honored that Tracy brought me into this world, because the whole content creation thing is, as we all know, the thing for most of us. And what this does is it allows you to manage your time much better to get this content in the ears of the audience and then also in their eyes. And Tracy's going to go through all of that in a few minutes. Andrew?
Hey guys, my name's Andrew. I built Radio Content Pro. I started working in radio when I was a teenager, and I've been building websites since before then. After a few years working in radio promotions, I started doing digital production, ended up working in websites in the digital department. After a few years of that, I left and built my own company, WP Media. And with the rise of AI, saw an opportunity here and connected with Tracy. And we developed Radio Content Pro together. Took us about 18 months to build out, and it's been live for the public for about 14 months here.
Great. So we will show you some things about Radio Content Pro at the end and some of the ways that it can help you engage the audience, inspire them, and help them grow and implement some of the things we're going to show you today. Before we get started with the presentation, a couple of ground rules. Your microphones are not on. Yeah, you can't talk, we can. It keeps it from being chaotic and kind of a free-for-all. However, we do want your interaction. You can type anything to us in the chat box, which a lot of you have already found and have started to use. You can type it right in the chat box, and everybody else will be able to see it. And at the end of the presentation, we'll answer your questions. Now, if you want to ask something and remain anonymous, there's also an icon at the top of the chat box that says Q&A only. You can click on that and it'll come to me. I'll be able to see it. We'll answer your question, but it won't go out to everybody else. So if you want to remain anonymous and hide behind the Q&A, no problem with that. That's how most of the questions in these usually get asked anyway. In case you're wondering, there is a replay that will be available late this afternoon. All of you who have registered will get the link by email. So if you have to bail early, that's fine. You'll be able to get it. And we encourage you to watch it on demand anytime you like. And we also encourage you to share it with others who may benefit from it as well. And with that, let's get started talking about how to engage, inspire, and grow, how Christian radio can use AI to build deeper connections and attract listeners. Today, we're going to show you some ideas on how to engage listeners on the air, inspire your fans to share your content and talk about you, which is more and more difficult in all radio brands and formats today, how to grow your audience beyond your current cume that's already discovered and found you, and some solutions on how to make it happen. Now, with AI, there are thousands of ways. It's basically unlimited. It's limited only by your creativity and how you learn to prompt and how you learn to leverage AI as a creative assistant. Everything that we show you today is designed to help you be better at what you do and more efficient at what you do. It's not to replace you, and it's not to be your creativity. It's to inspire your creativity. So we're going to show you 3 specific examples. But one of the things I want you to take away from this is that you can apply the principles that we show you and some of the prompts that we give you to other areas of your radio stations as well. So look at this as being a little bit more holistic and bigger picture than what we're showing you, but we're going to give you 3 ideas, one in each of those 3 categories that you can start using almost immediately. Number 1 is to engage your current audience. The goal here is to provide unique content that only you can do. Only you as a radio station, because you're filling an emotional bond with the audience that is a void that they're coming to you for a specific reason. How can you fill that they can't get anywhere else? And as a personality, and if you're a program director or a manager, how you coach your personalities to create unique content that only you can provide. This is more important than ever before because there are more options available. The options are everywhere. If I want the most micro-targeted content, I can find it in a podcast, on streaming providers online. What are you doing as a radio station to make your station stand out? Now, the way that you do that is to curate original, relatable content from relevant topics. A lot of stations, a lot of personalities are doing their prep and they're finding relevant topics, and they're informing me. They're giving me facts. They're reporting on things that I may already know about, but if I don't already know about it, I might find it interesting. But if I do find it interesting, how am I going to remember you for having been the one that told me about it? So the goal is to take those relevant topics, things that the audience cares about, make it relatable, and curate that into something that's original. And AI can help you do that. That's the art of show prep. Ron and I were talking a couple of days ago about the personalities who say, my life is prep. And they don't feel like they have to do any work the day before because they are just going to share their life experiences. Right, Ron?
Yeah. Yeah, and the person that does that, first of all, let me meet you and let me be your manager, because we're going to make a ton of money together because your life is so good and unique that you can bring that. And I know we've all worked with people who have, those certain gifts to be able to observe and bring what they have. And that's cool. You need that kind of person. But for the other 97% of us who need help in putting all of that together, I think something like this brings it all into one place. Tracy?
So if you learn the art of show prep, which is curation to make it unique and original to yourself, that can be hard because it takes time. And it's one asset that a lot of you don't have anymore because you're asked to do so many more things in today's broadcast. We'll show you some ways to do that. Another key is to right size your content. We talk to so many personalities who say, my program director just won't let me talk very much. We're limited to 90-second breaks or 2 minutes or 2.5 minutes. Let me tell you that every personality thinks they don't have enough real estate to entertain the audience. You can talk to talk show hosts and say, man, I'm only on for 4 hours. I run out of time. You talk to a personality who's got a 5-minute window. Their PD wants them to do 5-minute breaks or less. They think they need 7. You talk to somebody who's got 30 seconds. They think they need a minute. So the key is that whatever your window of opportunity is, to right size it and make it stand out. And to make it stand out, especially in a smaller window, you have to find some inspiration to do it. Now, how do you do that? How do you use the power of AI to accomplish all of those things? Here's where you start. At Radio Content Pro, there's a free character profile generator. And Andrew, I'm going to ask you to explain what that is just a little bit and how it works and what a personality or a radio station can get from that character profile.
Yep. So Tracy was telling me that with a lot of his clients, he gives them something that's called a character profile. And he was explaining the process that he goes through, asking a long series of questions to get to know the personality, get to know their preferences, irritations, their likes. And so, it sounds like it's a lot of work. And Tracy said, yeah, it ends up taking about, what did you say, 8 to 12 hours to complete one?
Yeah, at least that. Usually it takes about 2 weeks from start to finish to get one done.
So I thought that's a pretty cool service, but I think there's a way to do it faster. So I took his standard questions and repurposed them with AI. So you input your responses to his regular questions, and AI will give you your character profile that's been trained on Tracy's work. And you get your character profile in a matter of minutes versus weeks.
Yeah, so and it's free to everybody. Just go to radiocontentpro.com. There's a link right at the top of the screen that says character profile. Fill out the questionnaire, and within a few minutes of submitting that, you'll get a detailed character profile. Some of them are up 8, 10, 12 pages long, and they're really, really valuable. If you have a character profile, you can now curate your content through the character traits in the character profile. So you have a better chance of understanding what that unique content can be. So you can engage with your audience on a deeper level. Now, you can also do it yourself if you want to. If you want to choose your favorite LLM or large language model, which you probably know as ChatGPT or Grok or Copilot or any number, Claude, any number of AI, DeepSeek, any number of AI models that you might be using, you can do that as well by telling it, here's what I'm like, here are some of my character traits, how would you define me? One of the ways to use that, I'm going to show you in just a second, is to get some potential responses and some things that you might say about an individual topic. And again, that's not to tell you what to say. It's teeing it up so it can inspire a point of view, a perspective, and put you on a creative path to engage the audience on a deeper level. So if you can provide information on the story, information on the topic, and write a great prompt, the AI will help you. And here's an example of a great prompt that will help you do that. You can create your character profile. Andrew's just put the link up in the chat box, so you can go there at any time, generate that, and then tell the AI, using the attached character profile, you'll upload that in a PDF format, generate potential responses to your topic. I want 5 possible reactions that would be appropriate for this character. Each response should be several sentences long and delivered in a voice that would be consistent for this character. Include a variety of angles reflecting different emotions in your 5 responses. And what you'll get back is what the AI thinks that you might say about something. And that is a way to get to some unique angles. And this is part of the prompting that Andrew's created with Radio Content Pro that is done automatically on thousands of topics every single day. Second category I want to share with you today is about how to inspire your fans to make it easy to share the passion that they feel. In radio, about 90% of your listening is coming from about 10% of your audience. These are your loyal, passionate fans. Not P1s. P1s are just people who accidentally listen to you more than any other radio station. I'm talking about fans who are really committed. They're there on a regular basis, and they love your brand. They love your station. They love your show. We need more of those people. So how can we inspire your secondary listeners, your secondary cume and your tertiary cume, those who are coming in, you're just a button on the dial. You're just, they come across you. They don't dislike what you do, and you fulfill a mood service to them every day, but they're in and they're out, and you're kind of disposable, and they'll go different places. How do we get them more attracted to inspire them to become fans? Because if you can take that 10% that's contributing 90% of your quarter hours and increase the pool of people and end up with 15%, what will that do to your ratings? What will that do to your engagement? What will that do for Christian stations? What will that do in your ministry and your donations? It will go through the roof. The more fans you have, the stronger your brand is going to be. So how do we increase our fans? Well, number one is we need to do less and we need to do it more. We need to do it bigger and better. And the reason for that is because the average person, the non-P1s, the non-fans, are spending so little time with your brand, they can't figure out what you're doing and they miss most of your good stuff. So imagine if you want to find out what is happening in the world today, what's happening in politics, or what the hot breaking news story is, and you turn on your favorite 24-hour cable news channel. When you turn it on, what do you expect? You expect to get the story that everyone is talking about. And the good news channels are doing that. They're finding different ways to talk about it over and over and over again. Why? Because they know that their tune-in times are very short. The average non-P1 to your radio station, and this goes for all formats, including Christian radio. Christian radio stations, a lot of times will argue with me and say, no, we have much longer time spent listening than anybody else. Among your fans, that's true. But among your non-fans, it's pretty much in line with what everybody else is getting. And that's about 2.5 minutes per tune-in occasion. And anybody who's in a PPM market will tell you that you got to get to 3 minutes now to get ratings credit for it. So they're tuning in for about 2.5 minutes. What are they getting in that 2.5 minutes? When they tune in, are they getting what they expect from you? Are you delighting them? Are you exciting them? So that's why I say that you need to do fewer things and do those fewer things more, bigger, and better. So it pops, so it stands out, so it attracts them, so it inspires them. And as you do that, think multi-platform, not just one performance on the air, but multiple platforms. If you're doing a feature on the air, some sort of a relationship feature, or if you're doing a trivia game that's highly popular, or if you're doing a daily thought of the day, which we'll talk about in just a minute, what's the digital application? How can you get the audience interested online through social media that points back to what you do over the air? How will you promote it on social media? And today, if you're not also accompanying those big things with a video, you're missing out, because video is what's going to get shared most on social media and online. So how do you do it? How do you use AI to do that? Well, you can, I highly recommend that anything that you do that's significant on the air, and significant, not everything, you make on-demand audio available. I think a lot of show stations think that they're doing a great job podcasting or making on-demand audio available by taking their whole show and putting it up as soon as their show is over. Nobody wants to sit through your 3-hour radio show. Give it to them in bite-sized chunks. On-demand audio with the highlights and the features. And if you've got 4 different segments that day that are worthwhile, put them all up there, but put them up there in bite-sized chunks. So make that on-demand audio available. Then extend it with interactive posts on your website, whether it's a blog. A lot of stations, a lot of companies are requiring their personalities to blog more and create more original local content on your website. Nothing wrong with that if it's worthwhile and if it promotes back to your brand. But it needs to be worthwhile, and there needs to be some thought and some perspective that goes into that. Promote it in conversations on social media, again, with links back so they can experience your on-demand audio, and publicize it with a video. And you can just have a well-lit studio, turn your iPhone around and shoot a quick video that's talking about what you're doing. Point everything back to your on-demand audio. And if you're creating on-demand audio in a PPM market, make sure that that is encoded audio so you get ratings credit for it as well. And at the end of that audio, give them an appointment to come back to the radio station at what time tomorrow so they can listen more. So you can see how that's sort of integrated marketing. It's multi-platform integrated marketing that is a rising tide that will lift your boat. How to do it? Let me give you some prompts. So I'm going to use AI to assist you to do all those things that I just showed you, that I just shared with you. And this is where AI will really help you, because I know a lot of you, whether you're a program director, your personality, or a manager, whoever's on, is thinking, how am I going to find the time in the day to do social media right, to do a video right, to write a blog post about all the significant content that I'm creating on the air? And that doesn't even include the time to curate it and prep it properly. Well, you can use AI to do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. So here's a prompt. I'm going to provide bullet points of a radio segment from today's radio show. I want you to expand on it and give me a 300 to 400 word blog post that captures the essence of the story, but is consistent with my personality and point of view. Write in a conversational style and add a clever headline. Now, I'll give you a couple of hints on this. If you're using the free version of ChatGPT or any of the other large language models, you'll probably be somewhat disappointed with the output. It's going to be okay, but you're going to say, man, that doesn't sound like me. It just isn't going to be as good as if you're paying the fee to get their paid version. So upgrade to the paid version if you're doing it on your own. When we talk about Radio Content Pro, we'll show you how you don't even have to pay for the paid version, because there's a tool inside the program that does it for you, that you'll get access to the most professional and the most advanced layers. We'll talk about that when we get there. So, but another thing you can do is you can upload some examples of your writing style. So here's a example of a good post in my voice. Copy this style and write a post on this story using the style that I've given you. And you'll get a long way down the road on the creative side. Here's another one. Okay, so now I've got a blog. I'm publishing the blog. I'm putting a photo up with it. Now I want to turn this into a video. Take this article, make it a 30 or 40-second video script to promote the blog and post it on social media. I want you to write it in a more casual style that's meant to be spoken and not read. And you'll get a script that comes back from that. Here's another one. Now I want to promote this on social media. Give me 3 posts for X, 3 for Facebook, and 3 for Instagram, and write this in my character style and in my personality. And you'll get some really good starting points. So you don't have to come up with it all from scratch. And this is a lot of that will get you over that writer's block. Now, let's engage the audience online and have them give them something that they can interact with. Give me 5 conversation starters based on this topic that will inspire comments from readers. What questions can I ask that will get them to share stories and share their opinions? Awesome, right? So that's now you've got some content for all of the things that I just showed you. Now, grow your audience. How do you find new listeners with clever marketing? Every radio station needs more listeners, because your radio station is like a leaky bucket. The bucket is filled with water, but you've got holes all over the bucket, and you're constantly losing people to other radio stations, to other forms of media, to podcasts. They just get bored with you. It's not as exciting to them as it used to be, and they're moving on. If you're not constantly filling that bucket with new candidates to become listeners, eventually you're going to see your audience decline and die. And I think we're seeing that at a lot of radio stations today, where we're losing a lot of that influence. So email marketing is the most powerful and least expensive tool that you can possibly do to market your brand. You don't need multi-million-dollar or $100,000 television campaigns or outdoor. Those things are nice, but you don't need them if you connect them to your brand values and create single purpose daily marketing with useful content. Now, a lot of you, if you're a marketing director, if you're a programmer, you're thinking, no, I can't send an email every day. Everybody will unsubscribe. They're going to hate me. They're going to think I'm spamming them. Not if you're sending them useful content every day. I'm going to show you something that I think that every radio station should be doing, and especially Christian radio stations who want to hear from you and want to be inspired by you. A daily newsletter that's specific, that's useful, that's externally or outwardly focused, that you're able to promote effectively on the air with content-based promotion, and is promotable through video, promotable through social media, and will encourage sharing to expand your reach. Now, why will it share Why would people share that? To expand your reach out of the goodness of their heart because they like you? No, because you're empowering them with inspiring content that they want to share, that they know someone else who would be interested in getting what you're providing. So here's a prompt to get there. The feature that I'm going to suggest to you for a Christian station is the daily inspiration. It's a powerful, inspirational thought of the day to get your day started on a good foot. And a lot of you are doing this already in features on the air early in the morning. And if you're doing that, I recommend you do it early in the morning because it's a great way then to start the day, and you can promote that to the newsletter. Write a short script that I can use for my daily inspirational email newsletter that goes out to a Christian audience. The goal is to encourage them with a positive message at the beginning of the day. It should be concise, no more than 200 words. You can use a quote, scripture verse, or other source for the topic, but add commentary along with it. It should be inspirational, but not necessarily religious. Now, the 200 words I picked at random. I chose 200 words because you might want to make that a short blog post as well on your website each day. If you just want to send it in a newsletter, 200 words is too much. You might want to limit that to 50 or 75 words. You'll want to cut that down so you can customize that prompt to however it suits you best. When you create that, here's what you can do. And we're going to show you how to do this using some Radio Content Pro tools in just a little bit. So I created a template. You create a template in your email provider. I made this in Canva. It took about 15 minutes. I put RCP Spirit, which is the Christian version of Radio Content Pro, and as the logo in the corner, but you put your logo there. There's links at the top to show where you want to direct listeners to your website, a graphic that you can put in here, and you can make it a standard graphic that stays the same every day, or you can update the graphic with your message. Here's your title of the newsletter, whatever you want to call that feature, the daily inspiration, the thought of the day, whatever it is, the date, headline, the verse that you're drawing from, short message about it, a link to watch a video that you've created about it, or read the blog post where you go into more detail, and then a message about sharing the daily inspiration by forwarding to someone, and also a promo to listen each morning at 6:45 to get the daily inspiration on the air with your morning show. And then at the bottom, of course, there's a sponsor. These are highly promotable. They're highly sellable. It's really easy to get people wanting to be associated with positive brands, especially if you've got a large database and this is going out every single day to get in their email box. Here's how you can take that original message, that previous prompt, and turn it into newsletter. Now, turn the newsletter script into a script I can use on the radio for a short 1 to 3 minute on-air segment. Write this in a more casual, less formal style, but keep the same meaning and essence. So you're taking your newsletter that you're sending out every day, and you're creating a radio segment out of it to promote to it and create radio content. Great promotional vehicle. Now, I want you to turn that into a 20 to 30 second script with the same inspirational thought, still in a conversational style, but I want it to be more concise. And I'm going to use this for a recorded promo announcement on the air. We would call it promos or imaging. The AI doesn't necessarily know that. So I'm saying I will use this for a recorded promotional announcement on the air. So it's going to give you just the 10 or 15 seconds of that, and then leave room for you to promote, to sign up for your newsletter or watch it online. Finally, I want you to write a script I can use in an online video to promote the newsletter with today's inspirational message. The total length should be less than 30 seconds. So now you've got a video script, you got a promo, you got a script to use on the air, and you've got newsletter content just by prompting properly. So you give it a little bit of content, and you can do a lot of different things with it, and it will inspire your creativity. Now, I know what you're thinking. Our staffs are low. Everybody is cut back. You're wearing a lot of different hats. What do we do? There's obstacles here. How do we solve the challenges? And Andrew started Radio Content Pro. We started working on this a couple of years ago, and this was one of the areas that we wanted to address. Radio Content Pro addresses about 10 different specific problems or obstacles that radio stations everywhere face, and Christian stations are no exception to that. So, Andrew, talk a little bit about the how Radio Content Pro does that and how it curates that content and how it solves some of these obstacles that you see on the screen right now.
Yep. So we built a series of AI bots that are constantly crawling the internet. We're searching through thousands of different sources looking for relevant content that's relevant and targeted to your brand and your audience. When we find matching content, we bring it into our system and we provide a series of different assets that you can use on the air. And Tracy will go into that here in just a minute.
So, Ron, you're relatively new to Radio Content Pro and how it works. How have you found it in navigating and how it works for the Christian format?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big what if guy. It's okay, we've got this, but what if fill in the blank? And I think one of the things that Radio Content Pro allows you to do is to start answering those questions, and more so than just the one or two that I can come up with. It gives me 4, 5, 6, how many ever I need to start filling in those what ifs. Now, you as presenters and announcers and DJs and programmers and content providers, are looking for one thing that you can do. But what if you had 7 or 8 that you could choose from at any given time, and you could get that very, very quickly? That becomes the thing. And then on the social side, I may be getting a little ahead of here, is where I think all of this really comes together. And if you don't have a big staff that's just handling all of your social and digital, you're going to find out very quickly that this puts it all together for you and you have something you can go with. Now, you may say, that's not exactly how I would say it, but it did a ton of the work for you to begin with, so that all you have to do is kind of come in as an editor and start correcting that. And then finally, the time saver, so that we can focus on the delivery. This becomes really the big win. It's like, well, now if I only took 10 minutes to do this versus the 47 that it normally takes me, what am I doing with the rest of that time? What you're doing is you're working those other 37 minutes on perfecting the delivery. You're running it through with your team over and over, maybe, and you come up with more ways. You spend, and I think Tracy talked about this earlier, that now you're going to spend 80% of the time on what actually comes out of the speakers and the devices versus using all that time just trying to curate that information. Tracy? Yeah,
we want you to be an entertainer, not a hunter-gatherer.
Yeah.
And when there's so many personalities who spend 80% of their time looking for content to talk about on the air and finding it, and 20% of their time figuring out what they're going to do with it. And like Ron said, if you can turn that ratio around and you've got 37 minutes, so what am I going to do with that 37 minutes? Now you have time to take those assets and make that video, and to create that blog post, to write social media posts, to make your content more famous. So it's a promotional and marketing aspect that engages your audience deeper, inspires your fans to be more excited and active. And by turning it outward, you're now sharing to attract more people who are coming in because they're interested in something that's going on here. So the Radio Content Pro, Andrew touched on this a little bit, but I'm going to show you Radio Content Pro Spirit today. If you're here and you're in a different format, we have 11 different brands that are targeted to everything from a couple of Hispanic channels to hip hop, to rock, to country, to CHR. We got something for every format that's available. We're going to show you RCP Spirit today, which is the Christian format. But every piece of content is targeted to your audience. So the AI bots that are, like Andrew said, trained on radio, go out all over the internet looking for content that is coming from our selected, vetted, trusted sources, that they'll gather and curate that content 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and they put it at your fingertips right on a dashboard when you log in. It's also designed for your brand. So when we find that content, or the bots find that content, it's curated specifically for your format. And within that, it gives you options to tailor it to 3 specific styles. I'll give you responses for something that is edgier or more mainstream or family friendly. And you can customize it to your personality. Sidekick is our trained AI bot that keeps learning and learning and learning based on your interaction with it. And you can adjust any piece of content to fit your unique personality and your local market. The possibilities with this are endless. You can take any story in any of the curated content and Radio Content Pro, and you can turn that into a good news story by interacting with Sidekick. Or if you have something that is all rainbows and puppy dogs, you can toughen that up and say, I want something a little bit edgier. What can I ask the audience? How can I create a phone topic out of this that's going to be a little bit tougher, a little bit rougher? But I think the best way to understand it, what we're saying here, is not just explaining it to you, but to show you. And so I'm going to take you into Radio Content Pro now and show you some things from RCP Spirit. These are the headlines. These are the most clicked on posts over the last 24 hours. And I'm going to show you the daily inspiration that I showed you in the newsletter curation. And by the way, if you're in a different format, there are dozens of newsletters and features that you can do, from creating games and trivia newsletters that go out every day, to jokes of the day, to birthdays and today in history. A lot of things that would make really interesting newsletters. We're going to be doing some more demos on things like this in the coming weeks. But here's yesterday, it's today's. Here's today's daily inspiration, 3/4/25. First thing you'll see here is a graphic, and this is an AI generated graphic that is copyright free. You can copy this, you can download this, and you can use it in your newsletter. Nobody's gonna come after you and sue you for it. The first thing it shows you is the verse. Here's the source of the content. Now, a lot of Christian stations are doing the inspirational message of the day, or something that runs in a commercial break or a promo break several times a day that is inspiring like this already. Most of the time, they're asking their personalities to create this. And it is a grind when you start doing that. So we took that grind out of it for you. Here's the verse, Romans 15:5-6. You can read the verse there. Here's the message that comes from that. So the AI takes it and it curates what this verse means, expands it a little bit. It gives you a paragraph on it. So that paragraph may be all that you need to inspire you for what you want to use on the air. But we don't leave it there. We go deeper. What does it mean to have the same attitude of mind as Christ in your daily interaction? How can we practically encourage one another to build a supportive community? The challenges of maintaining unity in diverse groups and ways to overcome them. There's some discussion topics there. If you want to use that on the air, you've got some phone topics that you can use as inspiration. If you want to use those as part of a social media conversation, there you go. That's where you would use that. The next section is the on-air script. If you're doing this as the daily inspiration early in the morning, here's your paragraph that you can use that to as a place to start it. Or maybe if you're doing a 1-minute promo that runs during the day for this, there's your on-air script. Then there's a promotional script. Here's your 10-15-second promo that drives people to your newsletter. Here's social media posts, 3 social media posts. Put this right up on X, put it on Facebook, put it on Instagram, wherever you are most active on social media. It's written for you, even includes some hashtags. Now, here's your newsletter template. Here's your headline. Remember, I showed you the template in the presentation. Just copy that, embrace the Christ-like attitude, and here's your newsletter text that will fit right into that. You can copy and paste it and then edit it to put it in your voice. You can make it a little bit longer. You can make it a little bit shorter. You can do whatever you want with it there. I mentioned Sidekick before. If you want to personalize this, here's Sidekick. It's on every page in Radio Content Pro, and you can type anything you want in here to interact. For example, you could say, I love this message, but want you to rewrite it so it takes some of the scriptural references out and leaves the audience with the same feeling. So if you want this to be a little bit more mainstream, a little bit broader, something that you think that your users might share more on social media, this might be something that you want to do with it. So I'm going to tell Sidekick, I want you to rewrite this. And here you go. Let's refine the message to maintain the spirit of unity and encouragement while stepping away from direct scripture references. And it's rewritten that for me. Now, how about a couple of teases to promote the on-air segment? And Sidekick's going to give me some teases to use for the on-air segment. It's thinking, and there we go. There's a couple. It gave me a couple. Sometimes it'll give you 5 or 6, but I said a couple, and it gave me a couple. What if the key to a thriving community is just one mindset shift away? Discover the secret of building stronger bonds in today's segment. How can a life of little endurance and encouragement change the world around you? The answer might be more powerful than you think. It's coming up in our daily inspiration at 6:45 on WXXX. So it's doing a lot of that heavy lifting, a lot of that inspiration, a lot of your prep for you. So you might be wondering what else is in Radio Content Pro. I'm going to show you this really quickly, and then we'll get to some of the questions. I saw a lot of them were coming in the Q&A tab. If you have questions, you can type them in now, anytime you like. Just put them in the chat box, or you can put them in the Q&A, and we'll stay on and answer those as long as you stay on asking those. And it can be about what we've seen today, or it can be about anything else around radio and personality radio. We'll all stay on and answer those questions. So I'm logged into all of the services. This isn't just Radio Content Pro Spirit. This is all of them. So I'm going to go to positive news. I wanted to go to Faith, Hope, Love. That's the good news stories in Radio Content Pro. Faith, Hope, Love is good news and transforming lives. As you can see, it's curated 24 hours a day, seven days a week. And let's find Revitalize Your Prayer Life, from rut to real connection. So here it is. Now, the regular content, not the daily inspiration, but the regular content in the service comes in 3 tabs. First tab is the story. And the story is broken down into highlights, headlines, bullet points. Prayer can evolve from superficiality. The reason we do that is so you can see very quickly if this is a story you're interested in or you want to move on. Remember, we said that we want you to be curators and entertainers, not hunter-gatherers. And so we don't want you to spend all your time looking for content to talk about. We want you to be able to identify that quickly and then decide that you want it or you don't. The summary is written almost like a news story. It takes the original source and leaves all the details in, but there's not as much perspective and point of view in. So it gives you all of the details and information in the summary. The on-air is where it starts to get more creative. Here's 3 teases. You get 3 teases for every piece of content. What if your prayer felt more like a chore than a heartfelt conversation? Discover the shocking truth about why your spiritual connection might be stalling. Here's your commentary. The commentary / video script. A lot of times programmers don't trust their personalities to come up with their own content. This is perspective. It takes the original source, puts it in a perspective, and gives you some ideas on what you can do with this, because we don't want you to be a reporter like we talked about earlier. We don't want you just passing on the facts. We want you to interpret that and to create some unique content. And this is a suggestion for doing that. Now, if you're already good at doing that, if you're experienced and you're already doing that, this turns into a really good video script as well. Then we also break it down for DJs. Maybe you've got a shorter window. Remember, I said that you may not have as much time to entertain the audience as you think you need or that you would like to have. So we give you 10-second versions and 20-second versions. It's something for everybody on your staff to get you started and to really boil that down to the essence of what this piece of content's all about. Here's 3 responses. If you're an edgy personality, this might be something that you want to say. If you're a mainstream personality, and if you're family friendly, warm and fuzzy. So 3 different responses, again, not to read verbatim, but to inspire your reaction, to make it unique in your own character and personality. And then 3 phone topics. If you could ask God one question right now, what would it be and why? What's the biggest challenge you faced in your spiritual journey and how'd you overcome it? So places that you can go with it on the air. And then the third tab is digital content. You've got a blog post title, Reviving Your Prayer Life from Chore to Connection. Here's your blog post. And the blog post takes the facts from the summary, remember on the story tab, and it takes the perspective from the commentary tab, and it kind of combines those. So there's point of view and perspective, but it's also thorough. And this is written in a style to be read and not spoken. The others are curated to be spoken and not read. So it comes off with a completely different treatment for the blog post. Here's a Facebook post to promote it. Here's posts for X. Here's an Instagram post. And here's thought starters for social media that will engage the audience. If you've gone through all that and you want more information, maybe you want to see if there's a video or audio, you can click on that and it will take you to the original source, and that opened it in a new tab that you can't see on your screen. So it opened it in a different tab, but it takes you to the original source of the article so you can get deeper into it if you need to. If you come across something that you see that you would like, but maybe don't have time to use it today or tomorrow, you can save it by clicking save, and it puts it in a queue, and it goes right into your saved posts. And now I can go there, and here's my personalized content that I have saved. And there it is. So I'll click on there, and I can come back to that anytime that I like. There is never-ending content that's curated and created 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days per year. So all there and all ready to go for you. So with that, I am going to get back to the presentation, and we will answer your questions. And as we do that, Andrew and Ron, do you have anything to add to what we've talked about today so far?
Yeah, let me jump in real quick here on the daily newsletter part, and this specifically for everybody who is in the contemporary Christian side. You understand 365 marketing, 365 begging, asking for money. If you listen to any of these stations for any amount of time, if they're focused, they're always saying, you understand that we're operating because you're giving us money. It's that continual ask, not just during the fundraisers, but all of the time that's in between the fundraisers, so that you get their brains ready for fundraising time is the goal there. The benefit you have with these newsletters, and I know some of you have to, come up with ideas for newsletters, is what if you actually have on-air content that becomes that newsletter, and you're not asking for money at all? All you're doing is getting in their inbox, getting in their head. Oh, that was great content. Oh, that made me laugh. Oh, that made me cry. Oh, that made me feel whatever emotion you're going after. And then when it comes time for the ask, you have created this pattern of continually being in the inbox, showing them content that's emotional. And now the emotional give, well, you bet I want to give $30 a month to this radio station to keep it on. I think that's one of the huge benefits. And you can create it every day, and maybe you only send out one newsletter a week, but what if you had 5 things that you could put in there from content that your radio station did on the air, and then it shows back up in your email inbox?
Yeah, speaking to that point, Ron, I think that stations, when you get in the habit of doing this and you get your template down and you've got the content from the source, it's easy to do these every day. In fact, I did a video yesterday showing how to create that newsletter. It took me about 3 minutes to do it. 3 minutes from opening the template, taking the content from Radio Content Pro, putting it in, editing it, and having it ready to go. So it might take you 5 minutes a day, but as you get better at it, you get faster at it. There's no reason you can't do that every single day, and it'll be something that your audience looks forward to every day. It's a touch point. It raises your brand.
Yeah. And for the mainstream stations, it might be on here, your emails are always talking about tickets. Hey, listen so you can win Alanis Morissette tickets. I chose her because of Canadian Tariff Day. Um, but what if in that email, you had other content that comes from your radio station that's not just, oh, I can win tickets. That may be the big win for them. But if you're going a little deeper in there, and now I actually have a reason to open this email because I'm getting something from it, and that's something that I'm getting actually showed up in a break at 8:20 on the radio station, and you just kind of continue that cycle of impressions. It's the cycle of impressions.
So one of the genius things about Radio Content Pro is Sidekick, and I showed you Sidekick just briefly. You could take, today being Canadian Tariff Day, you could take that Canadian tariff story about how much more everything's going to cost and how everybody's whining and complaining about it and yelling about each other about it on social media, and tell Sidekick, I want to take this story and find a positive angle in it that will inspire and make my Christian audience feel better about it. How would you rewrite this by taking one aspect of this and completely changing it that I can use on the air for my good news feature? And it'll do that for you. It'll be right there and in the pocket. And maybe that's your newsletter. Instead of doing a inspirational thought, maybe it's the good news story of the day, and it can be something relevant and topical that's happening in the world, but you're putting a good news spin on it, and you're using your AI tools to help you find the creative spark for that. Okay, a couple of questions have come in. First one is in the Q&A box, and it says, is there a way to like stories so it learns the type of stories that work well for you? And Andrew, I'm going to throw this to you because this is one of the things that I think is on your development roadmap. Like stories that learns the type of stories that work well for you.
Yep, that's not currently a feature, but that is something we have on our development roadmap. We're hoping to get to sooner than later.
Okay, and another thing that we're working on is if you use the character profile generator that's free on Radio Content Pro. Currently, you'll have, when you interact with Sidekick, you will have to tell Sidekick who you are and what some of your traits are. We're working on a way to be able to upload that into your profile account, so Sidekick will always know who you are, and when you interact with Sidekick, it'll interact with you based on your character profile, which will be really powerful, and we'll personalize this even more.
Yep. Great question, Tony. I just wanted also to reiterate that we are a nimble and small team. So when we get requests like this, we take them very seriously, and we work as quickly as we can to implement new features that make this a more useful tool for you guys.
Hey, Tracy, Brian Irwin over here asked, can this content be used for other than radio? I assume you mean podcast and obviously social media and email and things like that. The quick answer is yes. I don't know where else you mean to use that, though.
Yeah, and that's another angle that we're creating a podcast-specific version of Radio Content Pro as well. But yeah, you can use that for that. We've also been contacted by stand-up comics who are looking for fresh, unique ways of telling stories on a stage. And no matter what you're creating, whether you're doing video streaming or writing website content, or if you're an influencer on TikTok, or if you're active in any other social media platform, these tools can help you because they curate things that everybody knows about, and they turn it into things that are unique to your character, unique to your personality, unique to your brand. And that's really the key. To that point, another question came in the Q&A about storytelling. He says that great storytelling, especially for Christian radio, requires personalities to be authentic and vulnerable. How does AI handle that? I'll take this one. My answer to this is AI cannot replace your personality and your character, your point of view, the story that you're telling. However, and everybody who's ever been on the air for a period of time has experienced this, you get in creative ruts where you're creating 3 or 4, or in some cases 5 hours of original content every single day. It's something that Jimmy Kimmel and Jimmy Fallon and Conan O'Brien and all of the late night talk hosts can't do. They're on for an hour or an hour and a half every day, and they've got a team of writers that are helping them do that. The question is, how can you be inspired to bring out that authenticity and that vulnerability, so you find your story through your unique character and your unique voice. That's the key. That's the key to everything. And AI can absolutely help you do that. And when you interact with it, when you interact with Sidekick, you can tell Sidekick, I'm looking to tell a story about this through this character trait in my profile. How would you suggest that I tell this story? It'll give you some suggestions. It won't give you the answer, but it'll give you suggestions that will inspire your answer. And then you can interact with it. You can say, I like this. I'm going to take this angle. What else can I do with it? And you can have a conversation with Sidekick that will help you find your angle. Think of it like an athlete uses a coach, or the way an actor uses a director to bring out the best in their performance. And that's what AI can do for you. But don't expect it to do your job for you. Expect it to help you do your job better and deeper and more thorough and quicker and more efficient.
Yeah, I think the other thing too, Dave, what it does is it gives you more of that time. That if I only had one response that was my authentic response, and yet I plugged this in and said, okay, based on the way I'm thinking, what else can I do? And now there's 5 or 6 or 7 other ones in there that I have the opportunity. It doesn't mean that it's not me. What's going to be me is the way that I present it on the air. That's one way. And then the other thing is, think about if I can use this to create social media content, to create blog content, to create emails, does that, and this is the big win for me, allow me to be more authentic and spend more time on my on-air presentation? I think it does. I think it's all of this noise that gets in the way of us trying to do what we do so well, and that is, talk to an audience through a microphone, but all that other junk is going on. If I can somehow put that other junk over here and still do it well, in fact, probably do it better than if I had to do everything, I think I'm going to end up being a better presenter on the air, because this allowed me to manage that content better.
Yeah, and you're probably not a social media expert or a blog posting expert. Nobody can do all of those things really well. So if you tell that story, how are you going to promote it? How are you going to curate it? How are you going to use it in other platforms? It's a whole different creative process that's different than what you do on the air. And this will help you accomplish all that. To that point, Brian follows up and says, can I use this to for my own content creation on my website, newsletters, and podcasts? It sounds like this can be used for that kind of thing. And we kind of answered that, but yes, absolutely. You can use this for in any way that you want. If you were using this on your website to create newsletters, it's pretty much done for you. A lot of it's copy and paste. Again, using Sidekick to edit that in whatever way that you want, and then publish it. Make your own newsletters out of it. That's fantastic. You would just reverse the process of what we explained today. So you would start with the social and digital tools and the written tools, and I would then create a podcast from it with the spoken word and use use those performance tools with it as well. But yeah, you can use it for all of those things and more. By the way, someone in the Q&A asked if we were going to make this presentation available to download, and we are. In fact, I just made it available. I just added the file so you can download the presentation that we showed you earlier with all of those prompts on there, in case you weren't able to take notes on it or get a screen grab when those slides came up. Another question comes up and says, could someone use RSS Fetch to create an RSS feed of the Radio Content Pro web feed pages? This is an admin only question, but something to consider. And Andrew bailed here for just a second. I think he'll be back in just a second. This is above my pay grade. But the answer to that is yes, there will be an RSS feed. That's another thing that's in the development. A lot of our current customers have asked if they can use the content to auto publish to their website, and that is best accomplished through an RSS feed, where if that were provided, then you could grab the feed of just the blog post, for example, or just the whatever piece of the content you wanted, and have that auto published at some point. So that is coming. It's not available right now, but it is something that will be coming at some point.
Tracy, I think a pretty good real world example of this is it took you, I don't know, 20, 25 minutes maybe to kind of explain how you would go through the prompt world in creating this content. And then when you plug everything into RCP Spirit, it's minutes, seconds even, that you shave off of that time. You can do it without this, but how much time are you using to get to that point?
Yeah, you're saving so much time with it. And how much is your time worth is the question, because with the things that I showed you in the presentation about the prompt engineering is a miniature version of the prompting that is happening in the AI bots behind the scenes at Radio Content Pro. We spent almost a year writing the prompts, getting them right, and making sure that they're right for that audience and that it's going to curate the content the right way and be able to do all of the things that you saw in that brief demo that I gave you. If you're prompting to the AI with your own ChatGPT account, for example, you're starting that conversation over for every topic that you want to enlist, and it's going to take you a long time to do that. Now, the more you prompt, the better you're going to get at it, the faster you'll be at it, but you're still starting that conversation from scratch. And Andrew came on at exactly the right time. Andrew, we're talking about prompting and about using Sidekick and the amount of time that it saves. And one of the features that talk about how Sidekick, the version of AI that Sidekick uses, and the new way that users are going to be able to use Sidekick on its own outside of one of the original content pages.
Yep. So by default, Sidekick is powered by ChatGPT 01 Mini, which is not the latest, but it's a very advanced model that is great for everything that we need it to do. And it's not just us porting you guys over to ChatGPT. This AI has been trained on content from Tracy, as well as countless examples of good radio scripts, good radio audio. So it's really primed and ready to help you get the best output for using on the air. We're also working right now on developing a standalone version of Sidekick. So what you saw in the demo with Sidekick shows up on every post. What we're working on creating is our own version of ChatGPT. So it will have its own page, and it'll have memory. So it'll be able to remember your previous conversations. You can pick up previous threads, and you can use it for larger brainstorming kind of applications. So if you want to brainstorm a new feature or segment or recurring feature for your show, this would be a great place to do that. If you want to think about promotions or different ideas to bring to the sales team, or ways to talk to your GM or your PD, this is the way to go for it.
And this happened just in the past few days. We have a new customer who came in with 5 radio stations in Christian radio in smaller markets that are coming up on their annual fundraiser. And they were looking for help with fundraising. And Sidekick would be able to help you with that because it would know who you are. It knows how radio works. You might have to give it some information about how you're asking for donations and what you've done in the past, but you can ask Sidekick to help you craft those messages. And it already understands the previous conversation. So it'll really, really help you, and it'll save you $20 a month. It's just what you'd pay to access ChatGPT, the professional version. So it's baked into your cost for Radio Content Pro. Question in the Q&A, and I'm going to out you, Therese. She sent it privately because I think she didn't want to embarrass us, but I'm going to out you. Therese Romano says, you have to be bald to work with this product. Sorry, I couldn't resist. I love it.
Yes.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's a prerequisite for sure. Another question came in and said, how much does it cost, and is it exclusive by market? And yes, it is market exclusive by format. So if you wanted to use it for your Christian, if you want to use RCP Spirit, you'd be the only one in your market that would be able to use it. And the costs depend upon your market size. The smallest markets are $99 a month. Medium markets are $149, and major markets are $199. If you're in a really tiny market, talk to us because we may be able to give you some discounts. And if you have multiple stations, if you have 5 stations or more that you want to bring into it, there's multiple station discounts that come along with that as well.
Yep.
I'm not seeing any other questions that have come in. If you think of anything later, we would be happy to answer those. If you are with a company that is interested in these products, you can reach out to Radio Content Pro. Go to the website, click on I want a demo, and Ron will take you through a private demo. You can ask questions about how you would use it for your specific purposes, for your brand, for your station, for your show. And we can show you exactly how to do that. We'll set you up with a free trial for a couple of weeks. You can test drive it. And I'm sure that you're going to come back and want to use that as well. Doug just threw in a question. How does that work with voice trackers on several smaller markets? Doug, contact us and we'll work with you on a price for that. We do have a voice tracking and syndicated model that works. We'll have to explain it to you when we talk to you, or shoot us an email, and we'll work that out with you and make that available for you. Also mainstream stations. Maybe you're with a company that is in a different format, in a secular station. There are all of these principles that we've shown you apply to your stations and your brands as well. Whether it's an inspirational newsletter that goes out every day, or a thought of the day, trivia games from a trivia show that you do each morning. I've got a million of those ideas. I'd be glad to show you those. And Radio Content Pro powers them in your format too. So it takes a lot of that busy work, and especially when you could attach a sponsor to it, it turns into a profit center for you, not just something that's going to help you engage, inspire, and grow your audience. Any last words, Andrew and Ron?
Yeah, I think one thing you're trying to do, and there are a lot of formats represented on here today, is one word for everybody is create emotion. You know, whether you're news talk or top 40 or classic rock or contemporary Christian or whatever. And I think that's what RCP does very, very well, is help you move toward that emotion that you're trying to create. It just does it much, much faster. And it gives not just faster. Don't let the time thing be your only thing. It gives you more options than you can come up with, I'm convinced.
Yeah. No, this was great, guys. I think this was covered really in depth. If anybody has any more specific questions, feel free to reach out to us on the Radio Content Pro website, and we'll get right back to you.
Thank you very much for your time and attention today. If you have any other questions, let us know, and watch for the link by email late this afternoon that you can watch the replay on demand anytime you like, and be sure to share it with all of your colleagues and other people in your company. We'd love to have them take a look at it too. Thanks very much. We love you, and look forward to the next. Last, any promo codes for attending today? We don't have a promo code today, Ace, but contact Andrew and he'll set you up with a discount.
Yeah, I got you, Ace.
Thanks for your time, guys.
Thanks, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.